our model, when we did School on Fire, and I talked to you a little bit about going and interviewing kids. Really, we looked at, there's that whole thing, is school broken? Is the model broken? Yes, but I would say probably, I would agree more with those that say it just does, the way schools are set up, just, we don't have the same mission as we did when that model was created. So like it worked for what it was designed to do. It's just we're no longer working under that same premise. So we started 3 years ago thinking we need to just put everything on the table. Let's be willing to scrap any and all things, and let's reinvent school. And so we did the School on Fire model. And FIRE is Framework of Innovation for Reinventing Education. So you don't throw around like we want to reinvent education and then just make small changes. So we put kind of everything on the table. We talked to kids, we talked to staff, we talked to innovative folks around the country, and then really based kind of our model and came up with these these pillars. So we kind of used our E as our graphic. The foundation of it at the bottom is mastery model. So like we're all about them learning the skills and standards that they need to be college and career ready. We're standards-based instruction. I think a lot of times people look at us and think we're some charter school that's doing something different. We believe in mastery of common core standards. At the heart of what we're doing is student agency, and that piece is like, it's that advocacy, empowerment piece. That was a shift for us. Like, I think just going and talking to students and saying, what do you want, and then fixing it for them does not change them into the people they need to be.
Advocacy in what?
Agency. And so, and I can give you a link to this if you just want to have the Prezi. I can. It's not polished or finished, but it'll at least give you the notes and the slides. Student agency is about that. It's asking them what they need and also empowering them to make the change. So like, for instance, our high school principal has the student voice team that she meets with. It's like a student council. They might come with complaints, issues, things that need to be fixed. And at first, it was like, now go do those for us. And we had to like reel that back in and say, no, it's about turning it around. So like an example right now, graffiti on the bathroom walls in middle school. The kids are constantly coming up there and complaining. And like there's human anatomy drawn on the wall of the restroom. And it's like, what are you going to do about that? So like, how could you as students prevent that? One thing they're piloting right now is, well, what if we could write on the walls, but we had to write good stuff? Go for it. It's a coat of paint that would change that if it doesn't work out. We're painting all the time now because they're drawing appropriate stuff. And so right now it didn't really take off, but they'll write stuff like, this school rocks. They just write it up on the wall. Okay, that makes you feel better. So like that's kind of a student agency piece. The piece that we think will take us over the top, that'll push us ahead of most places, is that we're really focusing on next generation skills. So not just the standards, but also what are those things you need in the 21st century that are, like you talked about, kids designing their own web page. I don't care what they do. Did we think 15 years ago, 20 years ago when we went into education that we were going to have to be web designers? And we really do need those skills in a lot of ways. And so I think giving them those skills that they need, that would push them over the top technology-wise, and then kind of running through the middle of everything we do is surprise and delight. If you look behind you, the slide is that constant reminder of like, it doesn't have to be boring. School can be an enjoyable place. You can have fun here, and so like ways that we can embed through academics, through instruction, like how could you do that in a fun way? One of the things we did, a little small thing, but like in our walkthrough instrument, we have a box that is class fun? Was it fun today? And we check that box off. We put those folks in a drawing. At the end of the month, we go in with balloons and a gift card to Starbucks, $5, and
to the teacher.
Say,
okay.
Through walkthroughs, you had a fun class, and just want to reward you for that. Your teacher was drawn, and she needs her own Starbucks today. And so, like little stuff like that. We don't do that as consistently as we need to. And me saying it convicted me of like, I haven't done that in a while. We've been horrible with our walkthroughs this year. We've just had other things that have taken it off the plate, and I haven't been in classrooms like that. Like last year, I could tell you that every week I was in 35 classrooms for 10 or 15 minutes. That's all I did. I just went in classroom to classroom to classroom, and this it's probably been 3 months since I've been in 35 classrooms, all in that 3 months combined. I just haven't.
So what's changed?
A lot of initiatives, and like for instance, when there are 2 folks in our central office, it's Mr. Berry and myself, and I say that wrong. There's a finance clerk. There's a personnel director. So like, but as far as like dealing with instructional issues, it's Buddy and myself, and then the principals. So like, but when we do a cafeteria redesign, I'm the instructional supervisor, but I'm also heavy in that. Or When we go and launch one-to-one, I'm heavy in that. So like when initiatives or projects pull me, school tours. This year, through part of UK Next Gen, I probably have done 2 tours a week for the last 3 months, because when like people read an article, they want to come see it. And like we went, and we still go and see and visit. And I heard like our principal just got back from Big Picture in Nashville, because they do internships really well. And so she went and visited it. Well, they charge you $150. I'm never going to charge anybody any money to come in and see Eminence. You know, like we want to share, and you know, it's just part of it. It's part of what we do. So, but we do a lot of tours. We do a lot of school tours, like when parents come through and like I want to come here out of district, and so will you show me the school? And I do a lot of those too. So anyway, so that's kind of our model. Where we based it off of is that I'm going to get the acronym wrong, SSO, whatever, Chief Council of State School Officers. Gene Wilhoit came up with those pillars of what does next generation learning look like, and it's personalized learning, comprehensive systems of support, world-class knowledge and skills, and I'll send you all this, you all can have this, performance-based learning, anytime, anywhere learning, and authentic student voice. So like when we did our program, we wanted to hit at these pillars. Some of them we do really well, and some of them we're not as far down the road. Like personalized learning is where we want to go. That's where we're kind of putting our stake in the ground. Like, I think that's where it's at. And I think in the absence of computers, I think a teacher in the middle of the Serengeti with a stick and dirt and students in front of them can be an awesome, excellent teacher and personalize learning for their students. I don't think you need any of it. I think this accelerates all that. I think there are programs out there that will really help a teacher reach more kids at once in the time frame that we're given and all those things. But it's about how is Tara's learning different than your learning today, because you're all in 2 different spots when you came in. You shouldn't have gotten the same thing. And so how do we do that?
That's what we were talking about, the whole group versus small group.
That's where it's at. And so like I hope everything we do just reeks that. And I think you'll still see whole group instruction. You'll still see we're in a process in a transition. The comprehensive systems that support us is about our intervention period, our ICE, and so we do some days in our schedule next year we'll have like built-in periods daily where we can group flexibly. You talked about grade levels, so like K1 and 2 will have the same ICE period next year, to where like if Tuesdays they want to work on literacy and a kindergarten student's really needs to be in the first grade literacy enrichment.
Can you say what ICE is again?
Interventions, connections, and enrichment.
Okay.
And so you would be getting one of those 3 things. And so we can flexibly regroup kids based on where they are for that. And those aren't like you're assigned to this teacher for that period all year long. It's where do I need to go tomorrow based on how you've grouped me. And so there's some management issues that go along with that. The world-class knowledge and skills, we just look at that. For us, that's standards-based learning. That's having a rigorous environment. Like we're not looking at doing cutesy and easing it back. And you know, it's what you saw in the career fair thing. Like those kids had to be able to have speaking skills. They had a lot of things in 2nd grade. I'm most proud when people come through and they say, well, your 1st graders are creating digital storybooks. That's nuts. And I'm like, yes. And like my 1st grader and your 1st grader can read, but mine can design a digital storybook. That's next generation skill. It's going to put them ahead of that typical. Anytime, anywhere learning is primarily why we went to one-to-one. We're trying to tear down the walls of when does school end, when does can I just learn in that 6 hours of the day, and so having kids have a piece of technology that they can take on. Our kids are poor. We have a high homeless population. We have a high poverty rate. For most of our kids, the device we gave them is the device in the home, and so like if I were in if I were Anchorage and kids were going home to a device, I don't know that I would go one-to-one. I mean, I would put some things in classes that we needed to use, and then I would assign them based on you're going home to Wi-Fi connected, internet-based class. And so like it just depends on you. But we knew we needed to go one-to-one if we were going to have any time anywhere.
Do you have something built in that they can have Wi-Fi access at home?
We're working on that.
Okay.
So like we don't. So there are hotspots in town. So when we went one-to-one, there's no Wi-Fi in town. Now restaurants and shops and things like that have added Wi-Fi because like the kids if kids can go to Dairy Queen and get on Wi-Fi or somewhere else and not be on Wi-Fi, they're going to go hang out at Dairy Queen. And so the library, which is close, kids come and sit in our parking lot at night.
Really?
They'll come sit and they'll drive their cars up, sit in the parking lot, get on their computer, do work, and then drive because they can get the Wi-Fi. What we're working on is trying to build we're where our school Wi-Fi would be released, and this hasn't been approved or anything, but what we're working on is to try to get permission to send our school Wi-Fi out to the community, because our radius of our home, the kids who are assigned to this district, it's like a 3-4 mile radius around us, so it's very small, so we could send it out.